Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sponsorship and Development Officer for the Grand Opera House, and I've worked for the theatre for over 2 years. I'm responsible for generating income through commercial sponsorship, advertising and public donations. The Grand Opera House is a leading arts venue in Northern Ireland, and like many arts organisations, it's a charitable trust and relies on commercial sponsorship as an important income revenue. So why did we need a sponsor? As I just said, we needed a principal sponsor because we needed, just when I joined the theatre in August 2009, BT and I were just finishing an 8-year partnership with the Grand Opera House. And my main goal was to find a new principal sponsor that would replace this valuable income. But that's not the only reason that we needed a principal sponsor. We could have maybe made up some of this revenue through lots of different sponsors, but it was important to get one principal sponsorship that would partnership with the Grand Opera House, because a principal sponsor has the power to generate credibility with consumers and other businesses for your organisation, and this is through the excellence and success of its brand. This in turn will help to raise your profile and generate additional publicity and PR, which will then reinforce your partnership as an example of best practice. How many times have you witnessed an unknown venue or festival or a faltering event that has been put back on the map by a principal sponsorship deal? And the most obvious I can think of is the O2 and the Millennium Dome. The O2 took the Millennium Dome and completely transformed it into a world-leading international venue. So I don't know if AMO has quite done that to the Grand Opera House, but they certainly have made a real difference to us. And I can tell you that just from having a principal sponsor, it has created new links to the business community. And from this time last year, we have a 5% increase on sponsorship from other companies. So it really has put us on the map, and people have seen how we have managed our partnership with AMO, and people now have confidence in us that we might be able to deliver their business objectives as well. So they were all very, very important reasons. And lastly but not least, having a principal sponsor by having a principal sponsor, we also hope to tap into their staff and audience customer database. And we would be able to market our shows to them as well, and then this would obviously work both ways. So I had set myself a very challenging target. I aimed to obtain a principal sponsor within 1 year of being in position. And the resounding question was, how did I do that, and where was I going to begin? Well, that's what I asked myself plenty of times when I first joined the Grand Opera House. The first thing that I did was to develop a replacement strategy. And this was very much a working document that identified steps that I needed to take to secure a sponsor by August 2010. I was very new to the art scene. My background was in agriculture, and I now had to replace cows for actors. So I really needed to find out where the Grand Opera House was positioned in the art scene, and this was the first step was to do a SWOT analysis to find out what our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats were. Then by identifying the competition and finding out the benefits and financial value of major sponsorships within other local arts venues, I was able to carry out a complete re-evaluation of the BT package and look at its content and look at the value of that. Then I created a proposal around common objectives, which I found in the research that I had carried out on other major sponsorships, and I was able to create a package and value it value it competitively and also in line with the current financial climate. Because when BT came on board, things were a lot healthier then, and I now was looking for a principal sponsor to invest a huge amount of money in a very, very difficult financial climate. So it was a big ask, and you know, you really have to consider that. The value of all the benefits may to the Grand Opera House just be the same, but at the end of the day you have to look and see if there's companies out there that can afford to pay that. So it's really kind of looking at everything. When I was certain that I had a strong and competitively priced package in place, the next objective was to start researching the marketplace and identifying who would have the financial capability to afford a partnership of this scale, who would have the compatibility and synergy with our company values, and who would also have the motivation to sponsor. I'll just move on there. First thing was first. I needed to carry out research. This research was how I went about finding Emo. They just didn't come to me. They didn't swim up out of the big blue sea and say, "Hi, we're Emo and we'd like to give you a lot of money to be your partner." I read everything I could get my hands on. I read business magazines, job finders, newspapers, the internet. I searched sponsors at other arts organisations and sporting organisations and companies who were spending a lot of money on advertising campaigns. The internet was absolutely vital, and I don't think I would like to have been doing research before the internet came along. I don't know how people went about doing it. Really important was organising meetings with key people within Invest NI, Ireland Chamber of Commerce, and Arts and Business, which is an organisation that supports arts venues and helps them find commercial sponsorship. So I found all of these organisations and similar organisations a vital source, and they were able to give me information on the marketplace. They were able to tell me, talk to me about new companies investing in Northern Ireland, and give me contact details as well, which was absolutely vital. I have to say that it's easy to avoid research. It's easy to procrastinate and put it off, which I can find myself doing. But once you start, it's really easy to get bogged down in it and forget about all your other work. So it's very, very important to ring-fence time to do research and stick to that time. So you either set yourself a couple of days a week, or you set yourself some hours within each day. But I think that's definitely the best way to do research. There was just one final point there. I think it's flicked back. Networking events. I became a networking floozy. looking for an alternative word, and you would have seen me at many an event with a glass of wine, chatting to people. Particularly when I started with the Grand Opera House, it was important for me to raise my profile, and it was a great way to meet people and get information again about the marketplace. So I had created a long list of prospective companies, but actually had very few leads. So I arranged a meeting with the Arts Development Manager from Arts and Business. I said, "Okay, give me the lowdown. I need some information. I'm on a tight target here. I have to find a principal sponsor. What do you know?" And through that meeting, she actually suggested that I speak to Suzanne from Emo, because she had heard that they were interested in art sponsorship. I knew who Emo were, but I didn't know a lot about the company, and I didn't know at which level. So I've moved on a wee bit quickly here. I didn't know at which level they might be interested in our organisation. So again, I had to do some more research, and this was much more in depth than before. It took, I was back to my trusty Google internet search, and also found that I was doing a little bit of people stalking as well. So you're really trying to build up a good overview of the company and their potential motivation for sponsoring you. The information doesn't come first-hand. The most obvious point of reference would be their website, but sometimes this, this doesn't give you everything that you need to know. Wikipedia is a great one, and newspapers again. Belfast Telegraph Top 100. They do a full profile of each company that they list in their top 100, and LinkedIn is a great way of people stalking, and sometimes if you find the right person you can check Facebook to see if they've protected their profile. I didn't say that. And so this is what, it is a little bit scary, but this is what happens. So this is what I found out from my internet search and from different publications. For their company profile, I found out that AMO was Northern Ireland's leading independent oil importer and distributor. I found out that they were the foremost home heating company with the largest oil delivery fleet in the province. Their parent company is DCC Energy Limited, and that it is the largest oil distributor in Great Britain and Northern Ireland. What were their business objectives? Well, really their business objectives were increasing their market share in Northern Ireland, and that I found that off their own internet. Their annual turnover was over £200 million. Who were the target market? It didn't take a genius to figure that one out. Homeowners and bill payers throughout Northern Ireland. Were they compatible with our organisation? Well, according to their website, that the AMO brand is built on values and has guaranteed its success to date. It relies on excellence, innovation, growth, trust and being customer driven. So I felt, well, without speaking to anyone from the company, that was a good start. And have they engaged in sponsorship before? Well, thankfully, yes. They currently support the Mary Peters Trust, and they also fundraise for Northern Ireland Cancer Fund for Children, and I'm sure they do a lot more besides. But it's also a very good indication of whether a company will listen to you. If they have engaged in sponsorship before, they'll maybe just not fob you off as a cold caller. So it was nice to know that they had engaged in other sponsorships. Who were the decision makers? This is where the people stalking starts to come in. These are the key suspects. Contact information. Anybody who wants to see email Suzanne, there's her email address. Background information. Suzanne keeps a low profile on the internet. I was just only able to find a few photographs, and through my conversation with Arts and Business, I found out that she was 28, single and blonde. Oh yes, that was a dating website that I found. So I thought, okay, well, this is a good start. I've got a really good understanding of who the company are. I knew that AMO was interested in art sponsorship. I knew that they were a major player in its field, and it was looking to grow its market share. It had a strong community engagement programme, and had. I also knew that they may have the financial means of taking on a principal sponsorship, and really there was nothing else more to do than pick up the phone and ask for a meeting. Well, not really. This is really the hardest part. If you don't prepare, you prepare to fail, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it really is true. So even though I had all of this information, I couldn't pick up the phone and start reiterating everything that I knew about her company down the phone to her. So, and that really comes to the point, who out of those three key decision makers should I contact? Well, I chose to contact Suzanne because she was mentioned by name through the Arts and Business meeting, but also because I felt that she was at a similar level within her company as I was with mine, and that's quite important. Approaching, if I was going to speak to the chief executive, I maybe would have got my own chief executive involved to make that initial approach. But I felt that we had a number of things in common, and that we would be able to identify with each other. You never know until you actually make that first call, but that was the assumption that I was making. Also, so that's identify the right level, appropriate level of management. It's not as a matter of picking up the phone as well. Sometimes you're nervous. I didn't know if AMO were interested in principal sponsorship of the Grand Opera House, but they potentially could be. And my approach on my telephone manner and what I said on the phone was going to be what was going to secure me a meeting to find that out. So what I would normally do is write a brief script out and just kind of practice that, and then it sounds very cheesy, but that's what I did. And luckily Suzanne wasn't too scary, and she agreed to meet with me and come in and have a coffee one afternoon. So take the bull by the horns, which is what I did, and then again adopted a positive and confident telephone manner. And it really was just a matter of saying hi. I heard that she was, I had a meeting with Arts and Business. Heard that she had been talking to them. Would she be interested in coming in for a coffee? And really left it at that. And her response was positive. You don't want to just start chittering down the phone to people in a nervous and quick-paced manner. So, how did I sell a concept? Well, I had a document, a principal sponsor document, which I had put together at the start of my strategy, and it was really starting there. I really went back and looked at that again, and changed some things that I thought might be of interest to AMO, and kind of grabbed their attention really. I also had an idea of what they might be able to afford, and I had a price in mind. And you can't do this, it's not a random thing, as I say, it's all about your research. And then because I had chosen, I felt I'd chosen the right level, and I chose level to approach, then it was really about connecting with that person and finding some common ground, which we did. Actually, Suzanne was just preparing to go to New Zealand, and I had lived in New Zealand for 6 months, and quite a lot of our conversation that day was about where she should go. So, we did talk about, of course we talked about the proposals that I had put on the table, but it's important to find common ground with the person, and and people have to enjoy talking to you, and know that they're going to enjoy continuing to talk to you for the next 2 or 3 years if you actually get to that point. And again, be positive, open, and approachable. It's very important to listen. I didn't have all the answers. I had some information that I gathered from an internet search. I had 2 proposals with me, the one for principal sponsorship and the one for our pantomime, which I thought might be appropriate because it was a good time of year for an oil company to raise their brand awareness. From the offset, Suzanne said that she wanted something much more lasting and something that would help them engage with local communities, and I knew then that the principal sponsorship might be on the table. It was very important to be passionate and be very visual, and be very confident as well. It's a lot of money, and it's easy to, when the company asks how much it is, it's easy to go, and you kind of mumble the price tag. You have to be very confident that you have a premium product and it's worth every single penny, because that will give the company confidence as well. And then being visual and create passion, I took her on a tour of the theatre. I gave her a bit of a history lesson, and kind of helped her to visualise what they might be able to do within our theatre as well. Behind the do behind the scenes tours for their staff or their customers. If they've got VIPs that they're trying to entertain, have meet and greet with the cast, corporate entertainment, all of those kind of things, and really, really sell it visually. And as I said, be confident, don't undervalue the product, but always be flexible. So I had this document that I created maybe about 6 months before I met her. It needed to be adapted to meet their company needs. And then managing the partnership, well, luckily this was very easy, because Emo as a company were very, very engaged with the Grand Opera House, very passionate. Suzanne was very passionate about getting involved in the first place and sold the concept very well within the company. But it's all very well getting on with somebody, but if you can't deliver the benefits and meet their business objectives, it's really, the friendship is going to go sour very, very quickly. So I feel that the most important benefits, most important elements are delivering your benefits. Communication, you must communicate. It's not just a matter of delivering the benefits, putting the contract into a file and then saying, there, that's done, I'll cut them in the next 12 months when we come to re-evaluating the partnership. Suzanne and I would speak to each other, have some kind of communication every week, and usually meet each other about once a month. And that's our level. There's a lot more meetings go on at a higher level as well with my chief executive and the sales directors. Managing expectations is very, very important. Can't lie about what you can do. That will come back and bite you very, very quickly. So if they know what to expect, then that will create. They know what to expect, and that will create trust. And always add value. We had benefits. We have agreed set of benefits, but since then we have definitely given more value to those benefits by giving additional tickets and giving staff discounts as well, which weren't originally discussed. So that's been quite important and has helped with Emo staff engagement. All of these things come, as I say, with if you carry out your end of the bargain, and friendship and trust will come with that. Always create a feel-good factor, and if the company know that they have redirected a lot of marketing spend with you, and they need to know that, as someone said before, that their money is safe with you and you're going to deliver. So, and if you deliver, and if you go further, if you go a bit further than that, the feel-good factor will be there. And evaluation, we've just had 1 year. We were signed up. The partnership was for 2 years. We've just had our first year anniversary a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to start to evaluate the partnership and look at the brand awareness around it. So that's something we're doing very, very shortly. And that is my part of the presentation. I'd like to invite Suzanne Waddell up to just talk about her perspective of the partnership. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone. Well, that was quite the introduction. So you know most things about me. I was a little bit worried there she was going to flash up some Facebook photos, but got away with that one. So it was actually really interesting to hear from Catherine's perspective, because we had our own perspective as we were going through the process. So as a company, we had some major questions. She said we were interested in art sponsorship and we were interested in redirecting our marketing budget. But why the Grand Opera House? Why would we be sponsoring them, and why sponsor anyone at all? A lot of it was about initial contact. We knew we wanted to redirect our marketing spend, and we didn't quite know how we were going to do it. And a lot of it was timing. So I don't know if Catherine timed it perfectly or whether it was a fluke. But in the oil business, obviously there are a lot of peaks and troughs, and there are busy times. And if she had contacted me maybe February time, there wouldn't have been a chance of anything happening. But she contacted me, I think, was it May? So it was April or May, and that was whenever we were evaluating the year before. We had a new budget, and we had a whole summer to plan. So there was time. She gave us time as well. Unfortunately, it did take a while for it to actually happen, so I don't know from Catherine's perspective whether that must have been difficult, but it did take a good 6 months, I would say, from the initial contact before anything was agreed. And she gave us that time, and we needed that time, and I'll show you why. There were various processes that went on internally. As I said, we wanted to redirect our marketing budget. It was a case of same old, same old. As a company, we'd been running marketing campaigns, direct mail campaigns, email campaigns year after year after year, and we felt like we were almost at saturation point with what we were doing, and we wanted to get involved in something interesting for staff and customers. Also, we have a lot of products, a lot of divisions in our company. We have Castrol, we have forecourts, we have home heating, we have commercial, and we're going into new markets again. And it was hard for us as a company to find something or some way of joining those together and cross-selling them as well. And we felt that a partnership with another brand or another agency would enable us to do this. And as Catherine had said, as they were getting an access to a new audience, we also had access to their audience. I mean, they have thousands of people coming through their doors. They have families. They have all sorts of people that we would actually now get access to through email campaigns, just through the branding that we would have internally. And again, that's the business divisions. So why did we actually decide to go with the Opera House? Well, first of all, as Catherine said, it was buy-in from the person that she contacted. She knew that we were looking for something, and she came to me. And in this case, it was the right person to come to. I don't know if that's the same with every business. Maybe it is better to go direct to the MD of a company. For us, it was better that she came to me because there was a certain amount of selling that then I had to do internally, because I obviously had an inside knowledge of our company that Catherine couldn't have had. So I knew whatever she presented to me, I would then have to resell on to my boss and the boss above him. And that's something, as I said, that took 6 months. So it was a fair amount of time. And whenever we were, I think it was maybe Jeff who said earlier, it can be as basic as listing all the items that are of benefit to the sponsor and putting a financial value to each of those things. And it needs to involve that. It needs to be a lot of things, but that was of use to us. And these are the kind of examples: exposure, branding, hospitality, all these things we knew that they were important. We needed to see that this was a financial benefit to the company before we even took the next step. The other people that needed to buy into the partnership were staff. It wasn't enough that as a company that we would gain from it, but we needed it to work with our staff. And there's various things that we run. We have staff discounts on tickets. We have draws that we do for staff tickets. But one of the big things that we did, which was great, and I'll show you a picture later on, was with Arts and Business. And Arts and Business run an investment programme called REACH. And it's great for us because obviously as a company we have invested a certain amount with the Opera House, and then they have added to that investment, Arts and Business have added to that investment for us. And we were able to engage our staff with the sponsorship. And this is really important to us because I think in the current climate, as it said a lot, there are a lot of cuts going on and marketing can get a bad name, and understandably so. But I think what was important for staff to understand that it wasn't a new spend, it was a redirection of the spend, and we felt it would be more efficient and it was actually going to benefit them for once, because I think a lot of things go on in companies and staff don't really get the benefit. And I know that we would have sent out campaign after campaign to customers and they would have felt slightly detached from that, but this was something that they would actually be proud to be a part of, and they were benefiting from it. So the project that we ran with the Arts and Business helped them to engage with the brand or the sponsorship or with the Opera House. That was really important to us if the investment was going to work. And finally, our customers. So we had the senior management, we had the staff, and then we have our customers. And working with the Grand Opera House was great for us because people love the Grand Opera House. I mean, they love going along to the theatre, they love the shows that are there, and we were able to build on that because as a company, to a lot of people it's an unlikely match to have the Opera House and an oil company, and we understand that, but it really works for us because we're a commodity and people don't enjoy spending the money on our product. Unfortunately for us, that's just the way it is, and people don't want to pay the money, they don't really want to engage with us until they need the product. So we're dealing with them maybe twice a year, even less nowadays. And we wanted a brand that we could work with our customers, that they would be interested in us all year round. And the Grand Opera House is a perfect example of that. There's something new for us. We're not quite as far along as Hastings, who've done it really successfully, but we're heading into social media. Again, we shied away from it, and the Opera House have allowed us to go into this arena. We didn't really think we had enough to say to the community through social media that would interest them and engage them, but we have a certain amount, I don't know if street cred's the right word, but we've a certain amount of interest factor and interesting factor that we didn't have before, and we can play on that through our partnership with the Grand Opera House. Just an example of, this was a campaign that we ran It was in our forecourt areas, and it was on billboards and buses and all the rest. And it was very much driving people onto our website when people were starting to buy oil, again, timed for our seasons. But as you can see, one of the prizes were Grand Opera House tickets and forecourt fuel and home heating oil, all the rest. And this is, again, an example of how engaging with the Opera House is letting us bring on board, or making us of interest to customers. So people would love to win prizes, and we're all the same. We all just, a lot of Facebook is about going online onto a business page, liking them so that you enter competitions, and that's okay. We understand that, as long as we're in the arena where people are looking at our brand, going on our website at times that they need to buy oil. This is a picture of our staff, believe it or not. This was the project I said about arts and business funded project. I'm not sure that it's our IT manager in the middle who would, and he is male and he doesn't know that this is up, so I hope no one mentions it. But it was just a really good project. It happened a few months after we signed up with the Opera House, and it meant all our staff were in the Opera House. They were engaging, they were directing tours, they were writing the tours, they were involved in workshops about presentation and storytelling and all the rest, and they really, really got into it. And the staff loved it, and we haven't had something like this in years. And it meant that they felt they had ownership of the sponsorship, and that's really important for us, that it's not just a one-off amount of money, that it's something that's integrated with the staff. And they're genuinely behind the Opera House more than I've heard them engaged with any other marketing initiative, and you can understand why, because they've been involved with it, they've had some fun with it, and they get discounted tickets, which always helps. I think that's all.